And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Saturday, May 17th, 2025. And weather headlines for the state of Alaska. Good news, the flood warning that was issued for the Buckland River has been canceled. It was determined upstream of Buckland, really not much in the way of ice to threaten the making for any significant ice jams, so that's good news. Still potential for some minor ice jam and then snowmelt flooding along areas of the Yukon. We still have some ice flowing, but at this point we're not anticipating any big ice jams that could cause significant flooding issues. And then we're waiting for the snowmelt to really come on down, especially from the Porcupine River. We're waiting for those northern rivers to break up, especially there along the North Slope and including the Porcupine back up into Canada. And that will likely begin to happen in this coming week. Overall, a weak unsettled pattern will persist through mid and almost late month. Cool and occasionally wet weather, southern half of the mainland and especially along the Gulf into the Panhandle, though there is some sign maybe a little warmer weather. A ridge could build here right after Memorial Day, just before the end of the month. For areas of the Panhandle, the southeast could potentially see some warmer temperatures heading into early June. But in the meantime, Akasuk up there in the far north, low stratus clouds, fog, 28 degrees. There could even be a little bit of light snow or flurries. That area will be expanding, especially east of Akasuk across the North Slope and along the spine of the Brooks Range as we go through later Sunday and into Monday. Buckland, where there was that flood warning, it has since been canceled. Overcast skies, 36 degrees. And there's quite a bit of overcast, low stratus and fog along areas of the west coast, including St. Lawrence Island. Tanana, though, seeing partly sunny skies. There's a few flecks of ice out there in the river. 63 degrees, so rather warm Saturday afternoon out there in the middle Yukon. And then Cake in the southern Panhandle, as I promised. You'd be able to see some drier weather for Saturday afternoon and evening. And right now, the system that's coming up from the North Pacific may primarily impacts southern areas of the Panhandle here as we go through Sunday night, especially Monday. Maybe not coming quite as far north as it looked like it would yesterday. And of note, we don't have any watches, warnings, or advisories currently in effect, so that's good news. Here is the river breakup map. So of note, the southern rivers are all open and flowing. The Yukon is generally open. There's still a few ice flows occurring, but at this point, we're not expecting any significant ice jam flooding. And we're still waiting on the Porcupine River to break up and supply that snowmelt runoff into the upper Yukon there above Fort Yukon, and eventually that would make it down through the middle system of the Yukon. But that's still days away because probably the Porcupine will not be breaking up until at some point next week. And we still have a number of the northern rivers, not only along the south slopes here of the Brooks Range, but on the North Slope that have yet to break up. And at least as of right now, it's looking like things may progress in a relatively mild manner, which would be good news. But winter is not over with yet. Fairbanks Forecast Office put out this graphic showing the potential for an inch or two of snow as we go through especially Sunday evening and into Monday. There's going to be an area of light snow along the spine of the central Brooks Range into areas of the North Slope. So especially Umiat up toward Tulik Lake, Anatuvik Pass, we could be looking at an inch or two of snowfall by the time we get into Monday. And then looking at the fire danger, early fire season so far has been uneventful. Things have been dampened down by some of the rain we've seen come into the southwest interior. There are a few pockets of higher fire danger, the middle Tanana Valley and east end of the Yukon Flats, but we're not anticipating any notable warmer, drier, windy weather that would enhance that fire danger coming up here, at least for a bit longer. And looking at the satellite imagery, we have the next weather system, a low coming up out of the North Pacific that is going to spread some more rain into the southern Panhandle as we get into Sunday night and on Monday. We do have some areas of clearing across the eastern and central interior, which has allowed temperatures to get above 60 degrees in some locations. Still, though, a potential for a scattering of showers, isolated thunder, especially back here through northwestern Canada toward Watson Lake and east there of Dawson. Areas further out to the west, just kind of stratus and low clouds along areas of the west coast. And out toward the Aleutians, there's another weaker area of low pressure and trough. Not especially strong, but it's keeping some lighter rain or rain showers and lower ceilings and fog. Meanwhile, we have this weak trough and low pressure out over the central interior, and that extends back down into Canada. But here's the next weather player coming northeastward. A low pressure down here in the North Pacific is taking aim toward Haida Gwaii as we get into Sunday night and Monday. By Sunday afternoon, that low, not especially deep as we would expect for this time of year, 995 millibar low, beginning to occlude, and that's going to try to spread some rain into at least the southern portion of the Panhandle, Prince of Wales Island on over toward Ketchikan, Metlakatla, and certainly Haida Gwaii down into the British Columbia coast. Now this looks more widespread than it actually is, but there is the chance of scattered showers, isolated thunder, areas of the interior Sunday afternoon extending out here into Canada, then a couple of weak low pressures out there in the southwest Bering and then south of the central Aleutians. And for Monday, still we have this troughiness lingering, areas of the interior back across northwest Canada. The low that's coming up toward Haida Gwaii is also filling, weakening, but will also spread some rain, especially up here into the southern Panhandle. Further west, there is a low out approaching the far western Aleutians. And on Tuesday, we still find this trough extending from areas of the southern mainland up into northwest Canada. So there could be some scattered showers and isolated flash of lightning, rumble of thunder associated with that. Again, up along areas of the North Slope, especially later Sunday night, Monday, maybe even the Tuesday morning. Inch or two of snow could fall along the spine of the Brooks Range, especially there in the east central portion of the Brooks. Further west, high pressure Gulf of Anadir, not especially strong. And this low pressure and frontal system will pinch off, occlude, and then kind of slide more southeastward as we go through the midweek. And temperature-wise, lows come Sunday morning could dip into the upper teens in some of the normally cold spots along the Arctic coast North Slope. Readings could stay above 40 here in the middle Yukon Valley for a mild night. And generally speaking, we're not seeing much in the way of temperatures getting below freezing in south central areas. But again, there could be a little colder dip to near freezing there, like say at Eagle. And then temperatures Sunday afternoon, a number of spots could reach or exceed 60. Look at that, 60 at Tanana, Fort Yukon, 64 Fairbanks, 66 at Eagle. So definitely warmer weather setting up there for the interior, helped by some sunshine. Cooler temperatures along the spine of the Brooks Range North Slope Arctic coast stay below freezing there. Highs only in the upper 20s. We're going to see readings in the 50s, Anchorage Bowl, Matsu Valley. A few spots could flirt with 60, like Glen Allen or maybe Wasilla, Willow. And then areas of the Panhandle should generally have highs in the 50s, whereas a bit cooler, Alaska Peninsula out through the Aleutians, as would be expected by the colder water, highs only in the mid-upper 40s. And Monday morning lows again could be in the 15 to 21 degree range here across the North Slope Arctic coast. Readings middle upper Yukon Valley staying above 40 in some locations. And again, elsewhere, relatively mild 40s in the Panhandle and near 40 or so. South Central, and some lows getting down into the upper 30s there along the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. And Monday afternoon, we still got temperatures getting back up above 60 at Fairbanks, 66 perhaps there at Eagle, and generally 50s with maybe an isolated 60-degree reading again. Places like Willow, Talkeetna, Glen Allen, and Panhandle remaining in the 50s, again with some more rain pushing up across southern areas, especially Prince of Wales Island on over toward Ketchikan and Metlakatla. So here we have the temperature outlook approaching and up into Memorial Day weekend and Memorial Day. Temperatures still look like they're going to generally average below normal. Now, if you can get some sunshine, average now isn't too bad. You could have a temperature of 60 plus degrees, but it is a bit cooler than what we'd expect, taking us up here toward the last week in May. And that includes areas of the Panhandle. Of note, though, I was peeking ahead at just some of the other extended forecast models, and one of them's trying to show some ridging developing here over northwest Canada, eastern Gulf, and Panhandle. So by the time we roll toward June, we could start to see some notably warmer temperatures over the southeast if that trend continues. And then as far as precipitation goes, the likelihood that a continuation of scattered showers, for the interior, and occasionally get some moisture come up along the Gulf Coast. We have rain or rain showers along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle. We do expect precipitation May 23rd through the 27th. That would include the long Memorial Day weekend to be above normal over the southern half of the mainland, especially along and south of the Yukon River, as well as including the Alaska Peninsula, along the Gulf, and the entire southeast.